This is coming to you live on Tuesday, March 24th, 2020. I am Steve Triffletti, Plymouth Town Moderator. We have a busy agenda today with many guests coming to you live on Channel 47 FiOS, Channel 15 Comcast, and you can also live stream at PACTV.org. We'd like you to send your questions to PlymouthInfo@PACTV.org. And at this time, we're going to begin with an opening from our chairman of our Board of Selectmen, Ken Tavares. Ken, welcome, and thank you for joining us each day.
Of course, Steve. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to be very brief this afternoon because we have some very special guests that haven't been on before, and there's a great deal of information. Our assistant town manager is going to be discussing how we're going to be disseminating information to make it much easier for you. So with that, I'll save some comments for the wrap up, but I think we need to begin. It's going to be a busy afternoon.
Thanks. That's Kenneth Tavares. He is the chair of the Plymouth Board of Selectmen, and he is supported and joined now by Marlene McCollum. She is our Plymouth Assistant Town Manager. Marlene, welcome.
Thank you. So I would like to share some information with everyone who's watching. The town employees are working. We are available. However, we are generally working from elsewhere outside of the office. So it's going to be really important that people contact us through voicemail, telephone, and email. Those will be our primary means of communicating with people. We've been working all day yesterday and last night to revamp our website. So if anyone goes to the Town of Plymouth homepage at plymouth-ma.gov, they will see a red banner at the top of the homepage that will take them to a list of all of the information that we're receiving, and they'll be able to click through and see all of the information. We're posting new information as soon as we get it, and there's the option to e-subscribe to a newsletter. Currently, we have 1,825 people subscribed, and automatic updates will be sent to the subscribers as we post new information. So we have created a clearinghouse for all our information on the website. And I also want to just direct people to the public health website. They also have a large number of resources available for everybody to review. We also have a phone message that's available to anyone who calls in to help them navigate the town hall phone system. The number is 508-747-1620. So if people can please reach us by phone and email, we will do everything possible to respond to your questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Marlene. Marlene is the Assistant Town Manager for the Town of Plymouth. She is coming to you by Zoom. All of the participants today are joining us virtually. They're not here in the studio. We'd like to remind people that you can send your questions to PlymouthInfo@PACTV.org. We've had a number of county officials over the past few days, the Register of Probate, the Sheriff, the District Attorney, and today we have the Plymouth County Register of Deeds, John Buckley. John, welcome.
How are you, Steve?
Good. What's happening at the registry?
Well, all 21 registry districts across Massachusetts are operating. We made a decision last week to close our offices to the public. There are drop boxes at each of our 3 locations, and we're putting documents on record as they're dropped off. We're recording, which means people are able to scan and send over the internet documents for recording, and that is our primary method that we're encouraging right now. We have over 1,000 accounts for e-recording entities, and those people are taking advantage of the ability to record documents online. We are currently all in our offices working. We're preparing for a potential shutdown in the event that we need to vacate the buildings. But right now, all of our employees are working on site, just not allowing the public to access.
Thank you, John. That's John Buckley, Register of Deeds. All of our guests will be staying for our question and answer period. We next go to the Plymouth Fire Chief, who is Ed Bradley. Ed, welcome.
Good afternoon, Steve. Thank you very much.
Ed, tell us what's happening with the fire department responding to the coronavirus.
Well, our calls, Steve, have been similar to what we expect this time of year by the day and by the week. We haven't seen any large increases. We're seeing a few less motor vehicle accidents nowadays, but there's less people on the road as we expected. We are worried about whether or not we're going to be able to replenish any of the gear we use on a regular basis when we're out and about helping people. But there are all the crews are at work. No one has been quarantined. Everyone is healthy and is at work. So right now we're at regular staffing levels and we're able to serve the town. Response times have not changed. They're what they have been right along.
Thank you. That was Ed Bradley. He's the Plymouth Fire Chief. I want to ask everybody if you can silence your phones for those of you zooming in. We're going to come back to everybody. We're going to next go to Kenneth Fosdick. Ken is the chair of the Plymouth Airport Commission. Ken, welcome.
Hello. I just update everyone. The Plymouth Airport is part of the National Airport System, similar to the National Highway System. And when we receive federal funds, we are required to be open, just as the highway system is. We are operating on a more reduced level, and I'm going to let our professional, Tom Maher, our manager, describe what actions we've taken. But it is critical that we remain open. Many people are not aware that we have the air wing of the state police operates from Plymouth and MedFlight operates from Plymouth. And they have been increasing their activities, although many other activities at the airport, such as the Cape Cod Community College, their mechanics school has been closed down and the flight schools are closed down. But we remain open on a reduced scale. So I'll leave it up to our professional, the airport manager, to tell us what we're actually doing there today.
Thank you, Kenneth Fosdick. He's the chair of the Plymouth Airport Commission. You can email your questions to plymouthinfo@pactv.org. And at this time, we're going to go to the Plymouth Airport manager, and that is Thomas Maher. Tom, welcome to our daily update. This is coming to people live on March 24th, 2020. Tom.
Good afternoon, Steve. Thank you. Yes, during this health emergency, the Plymouth Airport continues to function. We do have reduced staff, but we're covering the same hours as we normally do. As Ken Fosdick had indicated, the activity at the airport certainly has decreased during this particular emergency. We anticipate that we will continue to have a lot of the public service type aeronautical uses that would continue here at the Plymouth Airport. The primary purpose is, of course, things such as Boston MedFlight, which has been based here at Plymouth Airport for the last 25 years. And they've been averaging in the order of about between 6 and 12 flights per day, primarily with patient transfers from one hospital to another, often related to the coronavirus situation, but then also other health emergencies. They did indicate that there has been less automobile accidents, which I guess is a good thing. The state police also have had a very active period of time, to the extent that if any of the listeners, viewers of this particular program, you hear a helicopter flying anytime over the next week or so, it's almost guaranteed that it would be the state police or Boston MedFlight. So they've been really quite active. That's one of the main reasons that we continue to staff the airport in the manner that we have, so as to provide fuel for those public service entities. One of our other major tenants here at the airport, Professional Airways, they in recent days have been doing a fairly good brisk number of flights for the interhospital organ bank, which of course is to transplant organs from one hospital to another in various parts of the United States. And they cover, all of the lower 48 states and such. We do have reduced staffing for reasons of public health, and we're trying to keep our staff and the users of the airport safe. And we certainly appreciate all of the help from the town of Plymouth to try to maintain a safe and efficient operation.
Thank you. That is Thomas Maher. He is the Plymouth Airport Manager. We're now going to go without video to the Executive Director for the Plymouth Housing Authority, and that is Dede Riendeau. Dede, welcome today.
Well, thank you. To give you a brief update on the Housing Authority, we are still fully operational. The majority of the staff are working remotely, but we do have access to our email and voicemails. Our maintenance staff is still operating. However, they are only responding to emergency work orders. We're trying to keep them out of as many units as possible. So they're doing, as I said, emergency work orders. We're trying to keep them outside as much as possible. Anything we can have them do, painting vacant units. As I said, just trying to limit our access to the residents.
Thank you, Dede. And Dede, along with the other participants, will continue to join us throughout this cablecast. We're now going to go to Stephen Cole. He is the Executive Director for the Plymouth Economic Development Foundation. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. Glad to be back. Last time we spoke, I think I mentioned a little bit about some of the national trends and how we're weathering against some of that, especially with access to some pretty highly coveted business analytics with one of the companies we're working with. I'm glad to tell you also that tonight we'll be having an executive committee meeting with the Plymouth Regional Economic Development Foundation Executive Committee Board. We'll be making some recommendations tonight that we'll be advancing to the full board, hopefully by Friday, and we'll have a vote by Friday or Monday so we can start acting on our own behalf also to get some quick cash into the community. Not really sure how the programs will shake out. We still have to deliberate some of that. But I have briefed Matt and Ken, who are on the call, also members of my board. And I think that we have a pretty positive path forward for how we can help some of our small businesses. Our big goal right now is, of course, to keep as many businesses as possible operating. And speaking with many of the members of the Chamber of Commerce, as well as some downtown and West Plymouth businesses particularly, we're learning that many folks are expressing a concern for their employees, keeping the labor pool supported, as well as vendors and rent. So with that said, I think we'll have some creative solutions in the short term to help fill some of the gaps. I'm watching now that the federal government is, of course, moving closer to some kind of a deal. And I learned from Matt earlier that we're expecting something from the governor around noon. So hopefully the foundation can do something to help fill that void.
Thank you. That is Stephen Cole. He is the Executive Director for the Plymouth Regional Economic Development Foundation. You can email your questions to plymouthinfo@pactv.org. We're going to be going for our state update with our state representative, Matthew Muratore. Matt has been joining us each day. Welcome, Matt.
Good afternoon, Steve, and good afternoon, everybody. So let's start today with, I think we know the numbers. There are 777 cases in Massachusetts with 9 deaths at this point. We also, I believe there are 32 in Plymouth County at this point as well. The testing is becoming more readily available, which means the numbers are going up. So that's okay. That is to be expected that the numbers will go up. We want to see the numbers go up so then we can actually start getting the curve flattened as we keep hearing about. So that will continue. Just an update on starting from yesterday. After we got off the air, there was an announcement that the Senate and the House have passed an election bill, and that basically will affect us here in Plymouth County and Barnstable County, the race for the Senate race. what the election was scheduled for March 31st has now been postponed to May 19th. So there are 2 Senate races in the Commonwealth and 2 House races. So both Senate races have been delayed till May 19th, and the 2 House races for special election are June 2nd. In addition, passed yesterday, just waiting for the governor's signature, is local municipalities can make the determination if they want to postpone their local elections that are coming up. They have the authority to actually do that. And there's also been some expansion of absentee ballots as well. So, and early voting. So people will be able to still vote absentee in bigger numbers if they want. So they've laxed the regulations on that. And also with regard to the testing, there's been to date over 9,000 tests, and there's 10 labs that are actually running tests and getting the results back relatively quickly at this point. So the goal is to try to get up to 3,500 tests a day. So we are making progress with that. I do want to clarify the order or the advisory from the governor that all residents are advised to stay home and avoid unnecessary travel and any other unnecessary activities. And residents over the age of 70 years old or with underlying health conditions or who are considered high risk for the exposure should limit social interactions with other people as much as possible. I do want to note that of the 9 deaths, they were all had underlying health issues. They were all hospitalized, and they were all between the ages of 60 and 90 years old, except for one person that was in their 50s. So that's the advisory. But all businesses and organizations not providing essential services have been ordered to close as of noontime today. Their physical workplace and facilities to work. So if you haven't closed your physical workplace, you need to do that. And the governor has encouraged people to work from home, that's obviously fine to do that as well. Now, the list of essential personnel are very inclusive. It's not much different than what we've been operating with here in the town of Plymouth for the last week or so. But if there are any questions, people just need to go to mass.gov. On that page will come up a designation. It's called Essential Service Designation Request. If you don't see your profession on there, then what you want to do is actually fill out that very easy form online, and it will go right to the state, and they'll get back to you to let you know if you are considered essential. It does give you a place to provide input as to why you think you're essential as well. So we encourage people to go to mass.gov and fill out that very simple online form if you think you're essential and you're not on the list. Also, just as a reminder, gathering of 10 people has been prohibited as well. A little bit difficult in my house, but we are practicing as much as we can to do that. And that is, all this is until noontime on April 7th. Obviously, the same with the restaurants are still in effect. The schools are still closed through April 7th, universities, etc. The MBTA has a reduced schedule in all transportation. That includes GATRA as well, for essential people only and for emergencies only. So please keep that in mind as well. With regard to, I'm just getting an update now. I'm just getting an update from the governor's press conference. Just that another 131 new positive cases were discovered between yesterday and today at this point. I do want to just remind people of a couple other things as well. We all know about the hand washing. We all know about keeping the social distancing. But whatever you can do to actually help people, particularly seniors that are home, to help them get groceries or whatever. If you need groceries, obviously you can do that, but only one person should be going from your household to help other people, etc. The Red Cross, too, is putting out an urgent need. The Red Cross Center in Rainham is open. They are taking blood. Matter of fact, after this show, I'm heading there to give platelets. So we are encouraging people, please, the hospitals really need this blood desperately. And if you're healthy and you're able to give blood, please go to the Red Cross in Rainham. And one last thing, I know, Steve, this is something that you as attorney are looking for as well. There is some discussions about being able to do notaries remotely, to notarize paperwork remotely. We do have a lot of seniors out there that are looking to get wills and trusts now with everything going on. And it's going to be a little bit more difficult at this point, but we are trying to work on that as well. And there'll be some more regulations that will be lax over the next several days as well. But that is the update for now, Steve.
Thank you. That is Representative Matthew Muratore, State Representative for the town of Plymouth. And yes, Matt, we're certainly looking to practice social distancing even as notaries. And this morning it came across our desk that New Hampshire just passed change in the law, as I believe Connecticut is also working on that. We have a number of questions. I first want to mention you can email your questions to PlymouthInfo@PACTV.org. And we want to remind people, if you have any symptoms at all, you're to call your local medical provider. We receive updates from the hospital, and the hospital tells us if you're experiencing any one of the following COVID-19 symptoms: symptoms of fever, sore throat, nasal congestion, shortness of breath, or a headache, or if you've traveled to any of the countries listed on the CDC's travel warnings, or if you've been in contact with someone who's been diagnosed with COVID-19, you're asked to call your primary care provider prior to visiting a healthcare facility. Only certain situations will require a hospital or other location COVID-19 testing. And if you're experiencing a medical emergency, call 911. You can get more information by also calling 211. And at our local hospital, the visitor restrictions still remain in effect. So we have a couple of questions. We're going to go back to Matt with a question. Matt,
No,
go ahead.
Yeah, just a comment, Steve. So the governor has just announced that for alerts, if folks in Massachusetts want to get alerts, they can actually text COVID MA. So that's COVIDMA to 88877. That's COVID MA to 88877. They sign up and they can get automatic alerts through text.
Thank you. And Matt, first question, in light of the IRS decision to extend the tax filing deadline from April 15 to July 15, does the state intend to extend the deadline for Massachusetts tax filings? Would this also apply to estimated tax payments? And what would be your response?
That's one of the comments I was making towards the end. There are a number of regulations that are being looked to be relaxed at this point, and that is one of them that's on the table at this point. We have another conference committee with my committee later on the week on Thursday, so I think we'll probably see something on that very shortly.
Thank you. One more question, Matt, for you. Yesterday we had the governor's order regarding non-essential services closing at noon today. The question we received, what if an employer does not comply with the order?
Well, there is something in there on the order that there's a $300 fine for every violation there is. Obviously, the tough part is to policing this. It is left up to the local police and to the local board of health to do that. But we hope that people won't need to do that. But if you are on there, we ask you to please please close down, follow the governor's order. The quicker we can get through this, the quicker we can get back to our normal way of life. And that's the reason for the order and the advisory that was put in place. So
we're continuing with our questions, going to go back to the start. Marlene McCollum is our assistant town manager. Perhaps you can answer this. One of the questions might surprise you. I know we've been saying to people, you can take a walk, you can ride a bicycle, you can drive in your car, but parks, we understand, are closed. And the question was, are golf courses closed? Marlene.
So Plymouth doesn't have any municipal golf courses, so we don't have a golf course of our own to close. I would assume that based on the governor's order from yesterday, that golf courses are probably not on his list of essential businesses, and they should be probably closing down their operation and not allowing guests on their properties.
Thank you. John Buckley, our Register of Deeds. John, when you spoke earlier, you talked about how you're currently doing the electronic recordings while you're not shut down. Is there a plan in place if you do have to shut down, if you vacate the building? Would there still be an opportunity to operate remotely with the electronic recordings?
Yeah, we've done a couple pilot projects. We will be able to record documents for recorded land in land court over the internet. As I mentioned earlier, there are over 1,000 authorized entities to re-record documents. And we would be able to do that even if we're closed and not in a building.
Thank you. That's John Buckley. He is the Register of the Plymouth County Register of Deeds. And for those of you that want information from the state, you can go to mass.gov/COVID-19, and that would also be for information from the state. And at this time, you can send your questions to PlymouthInfo@PACTV.org. We have quite a lineup today, and tomorrow we're going to be joined by a number of other officials. Ken, Matt, and I will be joined by Plymouth Police Chief Michael Botieri. Also, Dr. Kenneth Turkelson, and he is a member of the Board of Health. And for our business update, we're going to be hearing from Amy Naples, and she is the Executive Director for the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. We're now going to go back through our group for any last comments that you each might have and messages you want to leave with the community. I'm going to continue with Ed Bradley, Plymouth Fire Chief. Ed, what would you like to say to people? And Ed is our Plymouth Fire Chief.
Okay, we're back on. There have been some changes made on the state level by the governor that allow us to defer some of the inspections that happen on homes that are having for resale, where they can be done 90 days after the order is lifted. Some of the newer buildings we are still going out and inspecting, along with the inspection services, the building inspector. We have been following all state and CDC guidelines for any interaction we have with the public in order to protect them, as well as to protect our first responders. And we have been made aware of a site that was set up, a testing site that was set up in Shrewsbury at a CVS. It is strictly for first responders and medical people, so that if we ever had an issue where we needed to get a test done, that is available to us now.
Thank you. Ed Bradley, Plymouth Fire Chief. Ken Fosdick, any further thoughts as Chair of the Plymouth Airport Commission?
The airport remains open on a limited basis, and we continue to serve the state police and MedFlight and keep things moving and protect our workers.
Thank you, Ken Fosdick. Thomas Maher, our airport manager, any additional comments for those who are watching us today?
Just like to say for everybody to keep calm and carry on and be safe and be healthy.
Thank you. Dede Riendeau, you're the Executive Director of Plymouth Housing Authority. Anything else you want to say to your residents and the people in the community?
Sure. I did want to mention to our residents that all of our routine and annual inspections have been postponed, again, trying to keep our staff out of the units. All functions in the buildings have been canceled as well. And I did want to make one particular point to our housing choice voucher landlords that we will be making payments to them for the 1st of April. We already know that the funds are being issued by HUD. I should have them by the end of the week. So the payments will go out as scheduled.
Thank you. Stephen Cole, Executive Director, Plymouth Economic Development Foundation. Steve.
If there's anything I could say, I just want to remind folks to please remain optimistic. We have a lot of partners we're with the state, Mass Development, DHCD, certainly at the feds, the EBA, the U.S. Commerce Department. There will be no shortage of cash that will be transfused into this economy. So anybody who's feeling a little pessimistic right now, please understand a lot of folks are working to make sure that you can remain operating and that you will weather this. We will be better after this. So if you have any reason to feel alarmed, feel free to reach out to me at the foundation, or I don't want to volunteer Amy, but I know Amy is very accessible at the chamber. So either Amy or I will be very glad to help you through this time. Please call us if you need us.
Thank you. That was Stephen Cole. He's the Executive Director of the Plymouth Regional Economic Development Foundation. Before we go to our state wrap up, I'm going to jump back to Marlene McCollum, the Assistant Town Manager. Marlene, any final thoughts you'd like to leave with the people watching today?
Yes, I know that we talked about enforcement of the business closures a little bit, and I do want to let people know that's something we're working on. The Massachusetts Police Chiefs Association is working with our police chief on that. All of the professional organizations with the Board of Health across the state are working together. And we do have regular inspections being done in the restaurants to ensure that they're following takeout only and all the guidance coming out of DPH. And we are receiving a lot of calls from concerned people about construction sites still being open and other things still being open. The construction industry is on the list as essential business, and construction right now in Plymouth is still allowed to happen and is happening. We are able to still inspect everything properly, but we do need to make sure that everybody, including people who are still going to work, do their best to maintain the social distancing standards, have soap and water available for hand washing, and take all the precautions that they can for cleaning and disinfection. So we definitely want to support all of our businesses who are still able to stay open and stay working. And we want to encourage them to take all safe practices seriously and continue those. Thanks.
Marlene McCollum is the Assistant Town Manager for the town of Plymouth. We're going to go back to John Buckley, Register of Deeds. John, final thoughts you'd like to leave with people watching today?
Sure. We had a number of calls yesterday when the governor was issuing his decision, and they were very concerned that with sales scheduled to be coming up, both attorneys and lenders were very concerned about that. You will get on record if you have a closing scheduled with the attorney. Those documents will be recorded. And I also just want to say, if anyone is considering a refinance based upon these tremendous low rates, go forward with it, because that also will get on record. And we're just trying to maintain the marketplace as best we can.
Thank you. That's John Buckley, Plymouth County Registry of Deeds, and I know him to be speaking the truth as a verified source because we conducted a closing this morning and we've been able to go to record. So thank you, John, for that.
Good to hear.
Yes, Matt Muratore, the state closing statement and a request from a caller. Could you once again mention the text number that you just gave?
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. And I have some more information just getting from the governor's office that I want to go through quickly as well. But again, that text number is COVID-MA, so COVIDMA to 88877. That's the text. And also, you can also go, as Steve, you mentioned, to mass.gov/COVID-19. Now, we're just getting some information from the governor's office now that the Baker-Polito administration has filed legislation to address challenges faced by municipalities, school districts with regard to this outbreak. So some of the things that are being looked at now for legislation this week are suspending the caps on hours and compensation for retired employees who are collecting a pension, but under the state of emergency will be able to still work and help out. Permitting establishments to sell alcohol for non-premise consumption. That's through bars and restaurants. Modifying local permitting process for the municipalities with things such as permits and taxes and things like that. Extending deadlines of tax payments. There's some things here on school districts with regard to MCAS. So there's a few things that are coming out today that we'll be looking to vote on in the next couple of days between the House and the Senate. So I just wanted to get those out to you as well. In addition, in closing, again, just as a reminder, avoid any unnecessary travel and other unnecessary activities. Protect yourself by following public health advice about keeping your hands clean and covering coughs and sneezes. Stay home if you are sick. If you need to consult a healthcare provider, call ahead. Don't go to the hospital. Don't go to the physician. Just call ahead. They'll use telehealth services. Protect others who are most at risk, particularly the seniors or anybody with underlying health issues. Stay 6 feet away from them. Don't shake hands or hug. Stay connected to friends and loved ones. By doing this, FaceTiming, Zooming, whatever, stay connected. We can be socially practicing social distancing, but not practice social isolation. So let's just keep doing that. And again, once again, call 211 or text COVID-MA to 88877 to get the most recent updates.
Thank you, Matthew Muratore, Plymouth State Representative. As you can see from this particular presentation, your local town officials, state officials, county officials, we're all communicating with one another. We're coordinating with one another in order that we have the best possible response to the COVID-19. At this time, we're going to return to the chair of the Plymouth Board of Selectmen, Ken Tavares, for his closing thoughts on behalf of the town.
Thank you, Steve. I think we all are beginning to come upon stories of someone that's been tested positive or has quarantined themselves. The virus is spreading. And as Matt just detailed out, it is so important for us to follow the guidelines that have been put out by the town and by the governor's office. They are in place for good reasons. We have been complying with them. We need to continue to do so. And actually, in the words of Winston Churchill, never, never quit. We've got a ways to go, but we can do it. But just work together.
Thank you. That's Ken Tavares, Chair of the Plymouth Board of Selectmen. I'd like to thank Ken, Matt Muratore, our state rep, who are on every day, and today's guests. They include Marlene McCollum, she's the Assistant Town Manager, John Buckley, he's the Registrar of the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds, Edward Bradley, our Plymouth Fire Chief, Ken Fosdick is the Chair of the Plymouth Airport Commission, Thomas Maher is our Airport Manager, Dede Riendeau is the Executive Director for the Plymouth Housing Authority, and Stephen Cole, the Director of the Plymouth Regional Economic Development Foundation. As we said earlier, tomorrow's lineup, joining Ken, Matt, and me would be Amy Naples. She's the Executive Director, Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. We'll have Police Chief Michael Botieri for the town of Plymouth and Dr. Kenneth Turkelson from the Board of Health in the town of Plymouth. You can send your questions to PlymouthInfo@PACTV. We'd like to thank all of you for joining us this live update on March 24th, 2020. Thank you and good day.